In the last episode, we discussed the version 2 of the Vyry manifesto and what we have learned in the last years from our experience interacting with our student user base from across the US colleges. Now, I want to continue that discussion today, specifically focusing on the pledges that we make to our users and the motives behind them. So, for example, one of the pledges say we measure success by what users make together, not by how long they stay online. Tommaso, break that down for me.
Excellent question. So, what means staying online, right? Online, we have been the last 25 years, right? You know, the famous "you are online" from OL, right? And now, 25 years into it, right, we have spent quite some time in this medium called internet across multiple platforms. Within multiple platforms, you know, gaming is a huge one, right? Where the dwell time is phenomenally interesting, right? Or phenomenally, yeah, growing or has been growing, let's say, at least across the main brands, right? And obviously, it goes without saying also in social media, right? The endless doom scrolling, right, which has caught our attention, right? And that is what has been, you know, we are online. The question is, what is the side effect of being online? You're definitely entertained, right? You have definitely content. You are actually most probably overwhelmed with content, right? And so the side effect, what that has brought is that we have really trained this next generation to primarily sharpen their skills or beat and fight and shoot at each other in a virtual way. I mean, yes, there are other games, but you know, the preferred games are about beating and shooting, right? And so they're great at beating and shooting online, right? Which, you know, you might or you might not agree, but you know, there are studies out there that has impacted also the way that humanity thinks and is forming this new or this for this next generation a new characters, right? So okay, I'm great at shooting and great at beating. Does this convert into real life? Question mark. Yeah, I leave this answer to you. And so when we are developing and designing Phygital, we are designing it primarily with not online in mind, but we are making IRL the new online. People truly have the necessity, the urge, right, to meet IRL while reducing the awkwardness, right, of you introducing yourself virtually, right? Because in games you need to introduce yourself. In games you are, you know, in a spot, right, or you know, in your chat section, and you just are about an activity, right? And you think you're socializing, but what the essence is missing here of the socialization is truly to build the relationship. Because yes, you are hanging out, right, online, but you know, studies show that I hang out online with a buddy that I'm playing with is totally different than my buddy that I hang out in IRL. So we make success about what you make together. And within this making together means the IRL making together, right? So first of all, it's not about the online version of making together. It's about the IRL version of making together. And within that making together, the word together means where two or more people are having an objective, right? When you and me and some friends, we do a bike tour, a canoe tour, a swimming tour, a cooking class, right? These emotions that happen around us being in a group, right, are definitely more impactful, and that we have the higher probability of building moments that we truly care about, right? So, and that's exactly how we think, how we design it into our Vyry world, right? So that humanity starts understanding that making things together in IRL without having the lacking the digital benefits, right, is exactly how we think of things, Romeo.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's obviously super interesting. And when we are discussing IRL, one of the things that social media or games in general that avoid, basically you don't experience at all, is something like friction. And that's something that we believe that friction is growth, right? The challenges, awkwardness, and resistance are the conditions of progress. Now, how does Viri ensure or basically create an environment where you get to experience friction?
Um, so what we are seeing right now across US students, and we could actually expand that and say it's not about only students, but let me focus on that because this is truly who we go hand in hand with as a company, right? We see that with the wave of AI, right, with the industrialization of AI, right, that happened, in the 1900 industrialization of democratizing truly manpower, right, or the ability to produce things. Now we are democratizing intelligence, right, with these new intelligent objects, with the intelligent chatbots, with the future intelligent robots, right? What humanity is doing, it's primarily outsourcing three primarily core things that a human does. We are outsourcing thinking. We are outsourcing how we feel, the emotions, because we ask, oh, what should I do in this situation? And I feel like this or that, right? And we are outsourcing efforts, right? And all these three efforts that usually the human being has been doing, right, now we are losing the cognitive muscle. And if you lose the muscle, you basically, when you go into atrophy, right, so muscle atrophy, right? So but now it's not the muscle atrophy, it's the mental atrophy. And therefore, right, what we are having, what we are starting lacking is, how do we socialize? Because we are now being more and more awkward to meet other people's, right? How are we feeling about certain things? Because if we don't ask AI, we don't know how we feel. And obviously we're no longer going to be capable of doing, or not no longer, but we'll have some massive challenges um, on certain capabilities and things that we will be doing, right? And that will create a new species, that will create an inferior species, unfortunately, Romeo, a species that has that lacks confidence. Because if you don't have the muscle memory, the emotional knowledge, and the capability of doing things in the world, right, that demands from you to connect with others, to talk to others, to solve challenges, right, you will have that lack of confidence, right? And going back to the original now question, right, of how we are actually creating challenges, we are now with that new species, right? So think 2-3 years down the road, we are now facing with this new species, or with this I was about to say evolved human character, but maybe it's actually an evolution that is decrease in its ability. Now we need to bring back humans' ability, right? And within those humans' ability, you want to poke the human again and say, "Hey, actually, I want you to do something." Right? I understand that you outsourced everything. Yeah, you do my dishes, do my car, do my drive me, right? Think how I think better than I do, read better, write better, but do something, right? Well, how about you? And the best way of doing something, Romeo, in humanity is always when you do it in a playful way. That's the reason why I'm a big proponent of differentiation between a game and a playful engagement, right? Game is a pre-designed where if you do this and that, right, you get ABC, right? Game is an identity, right? You as a gamer, you identify yourself as a gamer, which our most recent statistics show that if you ask 100 students, right, only 20% consider themselves as a gamer, even though 90% are playing, right? So the playful engagement is what keeps you curious, right? And that's exactly what we build within the Vyry world. We build a playful interaction where the canva where that happens is the physical world, right? And so obviously right now a mobile first application, right? So we have limited scopes of playful engagement with the physical world, because obviously you are limited by this screen size, but it's still pretty playful, right? Because you can go places, you can throw digital assets at specific surfaces, you can draw onto specific surfaces that are not visible through your eye, right? And that becomes, let's say, playful, and therefore, going back to the essence, challenging, because we actually provoke you to do something, right, together with others, in IRL, in a playful way.
Right, right. Yeah. Just so extending this conversation, tell me about the movements that Vyry is inspiring right now. Like, for example, hashtag no AI friends and hashtag human spirit. What is the goal behind this movement, and how does it really enrich Vyry users?
Well, I mean, a movement is truly a set of early adopters that believe in a future, and the word future means something that is not there yet, right? And in any innovation cycle, right, only the co-conspirators and early adopters can see things that others don't see, right? And that's exactly what is defined by our movement. We do believe that social media has been isolated. That's a fact, right? We believe that AI is actually not the enemy, but passivity of the new species of the evolved human being species is threatened, right? We believe that a cognitive decline is the biggest threat that humanity is facing, right? And the way for us to counteract is to create methods and tools that help us invigorate, activate, enrich the senses that we have in our human body: what we see, what we smell, what we touch, right? What we hear, right? And the more technology moves towards that direction, right, the more the body feels activated because you are now immersed, right? And so when we say no AI friends, is we do not believe that AI is your friend, right? AI is helpful, AI is amazing, right? But we need to have a detached emotional relationship with that tool, right? And by the way, 99.9% of humanity will not have a detached relationship with the tool, because it's very easy to say, as a young person, even as an adult person, hey, I'm facing these emotional challenges. How can you help me? Because now it's no longer the counselor that helps you, but it's the AI doing, right? And it has a definitely, maybe the more mature you are, the more you can detach it and say, no, this is still a tool. But imagine you are raised with that, right? You're no longer, not even Googling it. You don't even have the efforts of Googling it. You don't even have the efforts, Romeo, of going on an Instagram or TikTok, which right now is actually what we are claiming of doom scrolling, and saying, well, previously I was at least spending time in doom scroll. Now I'm chatting and say, hey, what do you think, right? And because the AI is configured to always please you, and please, whomever is listening to this, right, try it out in a very critical mind, right? Whatever you say and question the AI, so the AI changes, where the wind goes. If you say, hell, you said A, but wouldn't you say that B is also true? Say, oh, you're right, Romeo. B is also true. And then it says B, and it says, well, but how about C? And the AI is trained just to please you. It'd say, oh, you have a good point. C is also. So, what kind of a conspiracy are we injecting? What kind of thoughts? What kind of thinking models are we injecting into this next generation? Therefore, AI is not your friend. Therefore, hashtag AI is not your friend. And therefore, we stand up for the human spirit. What is the human spirit? Critical thinking, acting, meeting with others, respecting the real world, and actually extrapolating from the real world the vibrations that the real world provides, right? Only a location can provide you certain vibrations. And in order for us to anchor a moment that we remember and it marks us for life, we need to meet IRL in a location and a certain purpose. And whomever feels touched by this movement, by the way, let me start this way. Whomever says, I don't agree, awesome, cool, I'll see you in a couple of years, right? But whomever feels touched by this movement, right? Of always IRL, always together, always playful, that is what we need. Say yes to human spirit and say no and decline. AI is a friend. Please be one of the co-conspirators, right? Join Discord, send us a message, join as an intern, join as a colleague and work with us, right? Because that's the movement that we are in.
Absolutely. Amazing conversation as always, Tommaso. And we'll see you in the very world, whoever decides to join us.
All right, Royal. See you in the
All
video
right.
world. Bye.
Bye bye.